So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is showing you guys some of the latest and greatest in Fallout 4 mod releases. Several of these actually take the game in a more immersive direction. And this is actually pretty cool because they're not like just singular mods or even just minor, but actually overhauling or changing fundamental aspects of this game in my eyes for the better, but also to make it a bit more immersive. Pretty much all of these mods came out over the past week or two. I will have links to all of them down below, and maybe even one or two will get you to start a new playthrough or just re-download the game because they are pretty freaking cool. The first mod we do want to look at today is the Hunter Revolver and Ranger Sequoia. This is something I actually showed you guys some images of quite a while ago. It was created as a part of the larger mod Fallout 4 New Vegas, but has now gotten a standalone release, something they've actually been doing several times over the past year. Well, either way, this is a pretty faithful recreation of the Ranger Sequoia and Hunting Revolver from Fallout New Vegas in Fallout 4. It features pretty much everything you'd expect: custom textures, custom sounds, and of course, custom attachments. The Hunting Revolver side of this is fairly basic. It is going to be a very high-powered revolver that you could honestly use from quite a distance if you wanted to, but also does have its own modification options. You're not going to transform this weapon into something it's not, but it has everything you probably would want. But then of course, on the other side of the fence, we also do have the very iconic Ranger Sequoia. I would actually say this is implemented in a really cool way. I don't want to give away the location in case you want to find it naturally, but there's only one spawned on the map unless you spawn in your own, and where you find it, it does somewhat make sense as to how it's appearing there. But even further, there's no crafting options or anything like that. What you see is what you get, but it is meant to be a fairly late game weapon. The animations for this are actually really cool, including the sprinting animation, which really stood out to me as being unique and different. All around, it's a good package. If you're looking for a new Revolver mod or just wanting to tap into that nostalgia, this is going to be a great download for you. It's a great companion piece to the recently released anti-material rifle, also a part of the larger Fallout 4 New Vegas mod. Unfortunately, since they're both free, you could download each if you want. But maybe you're looking for something a little bit older. Alternatively, we also do have the YK-42B Pulse Rifle. This was actually one of the weapons that appeared in the original Fallouts, that with Fallout 2. This mod does feature several different customization options, so you could change the barrels and things like that to make it look a bit different. I would say the appearance of this one is definitely one of its strong suits. I don't think many people have played Fallout 2, and it's really cool to see some of that original content getting exposed to a totally new audience thanks to modders. But even further, it is very satisfying and powerful to use once you get that 6-crank charge. I also do kind of like how they use that same mechanic as the laser musket. It's something that pretty much no other weapon mod that I know of at least has actually taken advantage of. So for those of you that really enjoy it, I'm sure you'll really enjoy this mod, and for those of you that don't, hey, it's a great piece to put on a companion because it does look quite pretty. But now that you have all these weapons, you're going to need something to carry them around in, and for that we do have Wasteland Tactical, visible weapons on packs. This is actually a really cool mod, and effectively what it's going to do is add in 2 backpacks and a bunch of different weapons that can go on them. Backpack mods are nothing new. I've covered many of these in the past, and this actually isn't even a custom backpack. It's reusing backpack assets from other mods. Where this mod gets really cool is in its integration from visible weapons. So once getting that set up, you have the functionality now that as you take out or holster your weapon, it will appear on your backpack. This supports pretty much all of the vanilla weapons as well as a couple of modded weapons, and there are more coming in the future. But it looks really cool, and it actually adds in some nice functionality. These weapons also are editable, so you can have different attachments on them, or even the backpack itself, all of it also providing natural bonuses like improved carry weight. And all in all, this is actually one of the most immersive backpack mods I've seen thus far. Even some of the ways that the weapons are implemented is nice, like when you could get a split sniper rifle, so the barrel is detached on the other side of the backpack. It's just a minor touch, but I really like it. One thing the mod author mentions that I think would be a really cool way to do a playthrough is making it so you get this backpack from the start and you could only use weapons that fit on it. So if the backpack can carry 3 to 4 weapons, you can only have 3 to 4 weapons on your character. I think that'd be a very interesting playthrough for somebody wanting to go the immersive route. I'm really excited for future updates to this one. Once we get some of the newer released weapon mods, I think it really is going to just take the throne as the best backpack mod out there. Then we do have Better Explosives. This is actually a pretty big mod. It's from the same mod author that made Better locational damage, which is one of my all-time favorite mods for Fallout 4. What it's going to do is overhaul the explosives in this game, making them more powerful, changing their functionality somewhat, but also adding in new features to several of these. So first off, as I mentioned, overall it's going to make explosives, whether it be mines, grenades, or even ambient explosives like explosive barrels you do encounter, much more powerful. The likelihood of you taking somebody down or dying from one has gone up notably. And also there's actually a slightly different mechanic in the explosive radius. Now when you throw an explosive, there's going to be an inner radius that always does full damage. So if an enemy is in that zone, they will receive the full damage of that explosive. But then after a certain point, you will enter into the outer radius, which as you go farther, it'll actually taper off. So it'll do progressively less damage the further away you are. And also these items now have specific resistances. So in the past, just a flat energy resistance might protect you, but this mod it's more specific. In order to survive a Molotov, you're going to need fire resistance. And even though all of that is cool, I think my favorite part about this mod is some of the new features and functionality it adds in. For example, now when you light an enemy on fire, most notably through a Molotov, they'll actually run away. I think that's a really interesting new mechanic because it gives it a whole new way of being used. Even though Molotovs aren't the highest damage items in the game, now it gives you an alternative of just shooing some enemies until they cool down. Nuka Quantum grenades now actually are reworked to effectively work like a massive Molotov cocktail that is just more damaging. When an enemy steps on a bear trap, they will now always break a limb, so they'll always be limping after the fact. Cryo grenades work a little bit differently. Now when you actually throw them at medium to small size creatures, they will freeze as they always have, but larger creatures are ineligible for freezing off of just a single grenade. It didn't really make sense for you to freeze a super mutant behemoth the same way you did a regular super mutant because, well, there's a big size difference. And really with that, I'm just kind of scratching the surface. This is a big overhaul to the grenade functionality in Fallout 4, and I personally like it. It's definitely going to make the game a bit more difficult, but also change up which grenades you want to use when. But speaking of overhaul and game functionality, we also do have the SKK settlement attack system. This mod's going to make several changes to the settlement attack system in this game, something that was very needed. A lot of people didn't like that system, myself included. First and foremost, when a settlement is getting attacked, you are now obviously notified of that. You're going to have a pop-up on screen that you have to dismiss. And even further, a settlement attack won't start until you actually travel to that settlement. No more auto calculations by the game, now you actually have to be there and get to experience the gameplay. And one of the other just quality of life features, now the only settlements that'll be attacked are the ones in your current world space. So if you're in Far Harbor, only Far Harbor settlements will be attacked. You won't have to fast travel back to like Nuka World. The same applies to the Commonwealth. If you're in the Commonwealth, there won't be settlement attacks in Far Harbor or Nuka World settlements. The attacks themselves are also a bit more difficult now, and this is configurable through the in-game file. It can be from any of the various factions in the game, and it's going to be based off how many settlers there are, but also the defense rating. And if you're playing on a higher difficulty, these definitely can be tough. With even just medium-sized settlements, you could see a lot of attackers on the normal setting, and I personally like this. It makes it a challenge, but also with all the other rewards you get from settlements, it's like you actually have to defend them now. It also adds in a new reason to join certain factions. If one of your settlements is getting attacked, you can call an air support to help you out. You have to be a member of one of the corresponding factions that does support this, but it is a pretty cool mechanic. All in all, I personally really like the changes this makes to the settlement attack system. Especially now, 3 years later, I'm just over the old school system. Using this mod along something else like Sim settlements could create a much more enjoyable experience and bring a lot of much needed improvements to settlement mode in Fallout 4. And then last but not least, we do have Wasteland dress code. This is for those of you that like immersion, but also maybe are a little bit lazy. What this mod is going to do is make it so you could actually assign various outfits to various scenes in the game, and it's actually kind of cool. There's so many different outfit and armor mods out there right now that I feel like this is actually a pretty good way to take advantage of several of those. Let's say while you're adventuring, you want to be moderately kitted out like you are in the Wasteland or in the Apocalypse. But then when you go inside to like a local bar, you don't need all that stuff. So it can take all of those items off you and put you just in your normal outfit. But as soon as you get back into combat, you're going to want some armor on, or even a little bit more than you had before, like a helmet and gas mask. This mod handles all of that without your interference. And even further, further, there are a bunch of different variables that you can set as triggers, whether it be different weather types. So if radiation storms do come out, you will attach a hazmat suit or gas mask. Either way, it actually is really cool. And again, there are just so many armor mods that I feel like using this mod will definitely get me to use more of them for different situations. But otherwise, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As I mentioned, I think the last time I covered a bunch of Fallout 4 mods, I'd like to start doing these on roughly a bi-weekly basis, or really more specifically when there is enough content to actually film one, which happens to lately at least be on a bi-weekly basis. I'm pretty curious as to when I would get into Fallout 76 modding, but at least as of yet, there's no news. I was wondering if maybe on the recently released Fallout 76 roadmap that would be a feature included, but there's no mention of it. I have to imagine Bethesda is putting off Fallout 76 modding as long as possible because they want to continue generating revenue from their atomic shop, and selling skins is something that isn't really feasible when you have a bunch of modders that will make the same stuff for free. So it looks like Fallout 4 modding is here for the long haul. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later, guys.